everybody, welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video, we are continuing the annual World of Black Dolls celebration that is in collaboration with In the Doll World. And today I'm going to be sharing with you guys my vintage black dolls. And so I am not an antique doll collector and I don't have tons of vintage dolls, and I consider anything vintage being from the 50s up through the mid 90s because that's all 25 years or older. So those are the time frames that I look at as vintage dolls. So I'm just going to share with you guys the dolls that I have. But before we get started, I want you to make sure that you go to In the Doll World's website, and I want you to click on their subscribe tab and subscribe to their podcast. They put in so much work bringing us amazing interviews from doll artists and other doll folks in the community, and I just love their podcast. I love to listen to it while I'm working in the background and just learn so much from them. So please make sure you go subscribe and also subscribe to their YouTube channel. Okay, let's go ahead and get started talking about the vintage dolls that you see before you. I want to start with my oldest doll in this collection, and that is my It's a Small World doll. Now, It's a Small World debuted at the World's Fair in 1964, and Pepsi sponsored it, and along with the debut of It's a Small World came the It's a Small World dolls that you could purchase at the World's Fair there at the Pepsi booth. And they were made by Pressman, and they did several different countries. I don't know exactly which country this one is. In fact, I don't know what country most of the ones that I have are, because I've had a hard time digging up the old information about them. I've been working on that, and so there's going to be at some point an It's a Small World video here on my channel about all these dolls, but all I can find are pictures, but I can't find the actual country names that go with them. So this is one. Now, of course, these faces are all the same on all the Small World dolls. They are Mary Blair designed the faces of the Small World dolls, and they're very cartoonish, they're very sweet, they're all the same. And so each doll from each country and continent has the same exact face. They've just done them in different clothing styles. So they did try to be true to the clothing styles of the different countries, like the traditional clothing of the countries. And that's what I have here. And I just love these dolls so much. I have quite a large collection of It's a Small World dolls. I have a large collection of Small World dolls. It sounds kind of funny, doesn't it? But this is one of my oldest ones. So this is from between 1964 and maybe 1969 is when these dolls were made. And like I said, they were first available at that Pepsi Pavilion at the World's Fair in 1964. And then after that, you could actually mail order them and purchase them. And I think they even had them in stores. So that's my oldest one, my oldest vintage doll of color right there from Walt Disney Productions. Now, next on my list, I'm not really sure who is the next oldest, but I believe it is my Chrissy doll. So we're going to look at the Chrissy family next. Chrissy came out in 1969 from the Ideal Company, and she is a grow hair doll. I have a large collection of Chrissy dolls because I am very much, I love Chrissy dolls. And the reason that I love Chrissy dolls so much is because one of the few dolls that I inherited, so to speak, from my mom was her Chrissy doll. And because of that, I decided I wanted to collect a lot of different Chrissy dolls. Well, Chrissy also did not get her own face mold. So Chrissy, you know, they just poured her in a brown vinyl for the African American version of the Chrissy doll. But Chrissy is one of the prettiest vintage dolls you know, out there. She's one of my favorites. I love the Chrissy family. I think they're so gorgeous. Now, one thing about the African American version of Chrissy is that she came, instead of an orange dress, she came in a lime green dress. Now, I don't have that lime green dress. It's very hard to find, and it's very expensive when you do find it because it is harder to find. But it's really beautiful, and it's so gorgeous with the color of her vinyl and her plastic. It's just a gorgeous combination, so I love that. Now, in 1976, Ideal released Tara. Tara is an African American only doll. They sculpted her to be African American and to be just that, she did not have a counterpart. So this was a very special doll because it was one that Ideal released specifically to be a beautiful doll of color, and they sculpted her to be that. Now, she technically was never mentioned that she was part of the Chrissy family. However, she is on a velvet body, so she is a velvet doll. And she originally came with a banana yellow sort of jumpsuit, like a top and pants. I don't have that. Again, like Chrissy's lime green dress, the yellow outfit of Tara's is very difficult to find, so I've got her redressed in a velvet outfit, but I do have the yellow shoes, so that part's really cool because I got her. Tara's can be quite expensive on the secondary market. I've seen them go anywhere in bad shape from $120 up to mint in box for $300 to $400, depending on who you're looking at. But she has 2 braids, and luckily mine has her original braids. They weren't taken out. She was in really good shape, and y'all, got her from Goodwill. So this was a lucky find for me, especially because I'm a Chrissy collector, and this was like a big deal to me when I found her. And she's harder to find, and she's not a Chrissy doll technically, but I love this doll so much. Another doll that I want to give an honorable mention to that I don't have here on the table because I've never been able to find one is the Ideal Diana Ross doll. And they did a Diana Ross doll on the Chrissy body like this. So it's this body, she's this size, but she does not have a Chrissy face. She has a face sculpted to look like Diana Ross, and she has short curly hair, and she came with a gold dress with an orange like feather trim, and y'all, that doll is so gorgeous. And as a matter of fact, there's one listed on eBay right now, mint in box, for $2,000. No thanks. One sold on eBay a couple of weeks ago with the box, but not mint in the box, for about $400, and I was this close to bidding on her because I've always wanted one, but I'm really hoping to find one that's maybe not with the box and a little less expensive. So fingers crossed that I'll be able to find one of those. But I wanted to talk about the Ideal Diana Ross because she's on the Chrissy body, so Chrissy collectors like myself, we always if you're a completist, you want one of each of the dolls. Now, another one, I don't have the actual African American version of velvet. However, this is sort of an African American velvet. So what Ideal did was, I believe it was 1982, they released this doll and they called her Chrissy, but y'all, she's not Chrissy, she's velvet. She was done with the velvet mold and the velvet body. She's got grow hair, but her grow hair mechanism is different. She's actually got a pull string instead of the wheel that turns, and that was this re-edition that they did in '82. And so she's she's also vintage. She's the same vintage as me, I believe. I believe they're '82, and that's when I was born. I might be off on the year, but I'm pretty sure it was '82. And so but this is exactly what the African American version of velvet looked like from the 70s. I just have the re-edition from '82 that they called Chrissy for whatever reason they decided to call her that. So anyway, that's my little Ideal family of vintage black dolls, and I love them so much. And hopefully one of these days, you guys, we will get to see the Ideal Diana Ross on my channel because I can't wait for that. It's going to happen one day. One day I'm going to find her one way or the other. I'm either going to find her at the flea market or I'm going to find her on eBay, and I'm going to bring her home. So anyway, enough about that. Now I want to talk about Cora. This is a vintage Sasha doll named Cora. I believe this Cora is either from the late 70s or the early 80s. I'm honestly not exactly sure, but this is an English doll. So she is made, actually my doll might not, yeah, my doll is made in England. So this doll is made in England. Some of the earlier Sashas are made in Germany. I don't know that much about Sasha, but I love the sweet faces, and I really love Cora. And a story about this doll, so I have a story with all my dolls, right? The story about this doll is a friend and I went to a doll show in Richmond, Virginia. We used to go to that show when they had it. We'll continue to go if they continue to have it once the pandemic is over. And I missed out. I told her before we went, I said, I really want to get a Cora doll. And I missed out on one. And that year for Christmas, she gifted me this Cora doll. Not only that, but she made her outfit. So she made this dress for her. I have her original dress too. She gave me the original dress, but my friend, her name is Diana, and she has a company called Matilda Pink where she designs for dolls, and so she designed this dress for her, and I absolutely love it, so I've never changed her out of it. But Cora is an English doll and made in England, and she's just so gorgeous, and I love the color of her vinyl. I love that it's such a beautiful color, y'all. I really love the color of this vinyl. That's all I can say. Now, she doesn't have her own face. She has the same face as Sasha. The color of the vinyl is really gorgeous. So even though they didn't make her own face, they do have a really gorgeous vinyl tone. So that's Cora. And then now I want to talk about another doll from a different country, because this is, after all, the World Celebration, and that is Nancy Famosa. And you guys have seen her on my last video as well, but you saw the new version of Nancy. This is the old version of Nancy, and this is the one that collectors love, 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 love. This lady is from the late 70s, and the way you can date Nancy dolls is you look at their eyes. So her eyes, if you look at them, she has what's called ojos margaritas, which is daisy eyes, and there's like a pinwheel design in the eye, and those were what made throughout the 70s and into the early 80s. They were using up old stock, but that's one way you can date Nancy dolls, because she has those pinwheel eyes and she doesn't have decal eyes. So this is a vintage Nancy. I believe, if I had to guess, I would say she's from 78 or so, and this is a vintage outfit. This is the tennis outfit, and I'm, like I said, a huge lover of Nancy dolls. I love them so much. And so these, of course, the dolls of color for the Nancy collection are more expensive because they're harder to find, and that seems to be the theme with all vintage black dolls, is that they are more expensive because they're harder to find. And collectors like myself, you know, we want that diversity and that beauty in our vintage collections as well as our contemporary collections. So anyway, that's Nancy Famosa from Spain. She was made in Spain, and she's really gorgeous. They have another version of a black Nancy that is darker skin, but for some reason they put bright blue eyes in her, and I don't love that. I don't have one of those, but she has a darker vinyl tone, and then she has bright blue eyes, and she has a hairstyle sort of like Cora has. So there is that version of Nancy as well, which, like I said, I don't have one of those. But anyway, that's Nancy from Spain. Now we're going to get into some dolls that are more from my childhood and from the 80s and 90s. So first up, we've got the Babysitters Club Jessie doll. Now Jessie does have a faithfully sculpted face. I believe these dolls are 1993. So these are the Babysitters Club dolls, and they were based on the Babysitters Club books, which most girls my age have read at least one or two of those. And she's really gorgeous. She's the hardest to find of the Babysitters Club dolls, Jessie is, and I was really fortunate to find her maybe a couple of years ago on eBay. I have an unboxing of her here on the channel, but I have all of the, well, I'm missing one of the Babysitters Club dolls, I think. But she's really super sweet, and these dolls, what I like about them is they're slim. They're all, I don't know if they're vinyl or if they're like hard plastic. Yeah, they're hard plastic, and the faces are vinyl. I think the arms are vinyl, and they're strung inside. They have like a rubber sort of stringing on the inside, but they're really gorgeous. And look at their outfits. I love the outfits that they came with. They're so like 90s, and they're like a time capsule, you know, with how really cool they are. Chrissy dolls are like that too. Chrissy fashions are very, you know, mod and 70s, and they're really cool like that. The Babysitters Club dolls are super cool. So this is one I'll tell people, be on the lookout, BOLO, for Jessie from the Babysitters Club, because this doll is so gorgeous. All the Babysitter Club dolls are really fun, and they're not too terribly difficult to find. So Jessie is one of my favorites, and you know, she's just gorgeous. What else can I say? All right, so let's move right along to the next doll, and I believe these dolls are from 1988. I can't remember off the top of my head, but this is Hot Looks ZZ. And the Hot Looks dolls, you can see they had hot looks. That was the whole thing. These are soft-bodied dolls, and they had different fashions and like crazy 80s fashions, and these were made by Mattel. Now, ZZ, I believe she has the exact same face as the other dolls. I could be wrong, but I think she has the same face as all the other dolls. So not necessarily, she didn't necessarily get her own sculpt, but I love this bright pink zebra print that she's got going on. These dolls are so much fun because of the 80s fashion. Like, I just love the 80s fashion on these dolls. They actually might be earlier than 88. They might be 86. I can't remember for sure. I have a whole video about these dolls also on my channel that you can check out if you want more information. I can't remember all the years off the top of my head, but they are in that video and they're accurate there. But anyway, that's Hot Looks ZZ, and oh yeah, her head says 86. That's the cheat sheet. But she's so much fun. These dolls are, what I love these dolls for is the fashion. And another fun thing about these dolls' fashion is that if you're a BJD collector like I am and you have MSD size dolls, these clothes will fit some of those, some of the thicker MSD dolls, so that's fun. All right, next up we're gonna go with My Beautiful Doll. I also have an entire video about these dolls on my channel, and these dolls are exactly what they say they are. They are My Beautiful Doll. I'm checking for the year on here. They were made by Hasbro, 1988, and this doll's name is Tyler, and she's just so gorgeous, y'all. She's just so pretty. The My Beautiful Dolls, like I said, very clever name because they're very beautiful. The dolls are really pretty. They're full plastic and vinyl, and they're like the Babysitter's Club dolls. They've got some rubber stringing on the inside, and they're an older doll. So a lot of girls, you know, myself included, I didn't really like baby dolls growing up, and I still don't really collect baby dolls now, but I like these older girl dolls that were more mature, that had more mature fashions. Like ZZ's a full-grown woman in my opinion, but like these two girls are, you know, she's a teen and she's a tween, and I really like that sort of age group, especially when I was a kid. I mean, especially now. I mean, always, that's the age that I prefer to collect for, and so, or that I prefer to collect of. So anyway, these dolls are so cute. They all came with a locket, and they, you know, have their own stories, which I can't remember their stories off the top of my head, but like I said, you can check the video on my channel about the My Beautiful Dolls because they really are so beautiful. And now the last doll that I want to talk about is Mommy's Having a Baby, another gorgeous doll. I did not bring her baby out here today. She does have a baby, but Mommy's Having a Baby doll, there was a little bit of controversy about these dolls because they came with a dress where the baby was inside, and these are by Tyco, and they came out in '92. And what I love about this doll is she got her own face sculpt. Look how beautiful her face is. This doll is so gorgeous, and not only that, but she is a mature doll. So I actually, when I was a kid, I got this doll and I wanted her because she was a mature doll. I didn't care about the baby. I didn't care that she was having a baby. To me, this was like a big Barbie because she's a mature lady doll. She's beautiful. You know, there's so much stuff about this doll that's so amazing. So I was really, I'm just really pleased at how Tyco did do her own face sculpt, because, you know, you don't always see that. You see it more now, but, you know, and I think it started happening more throughout the 80s and 90s, but I just love this doll. She's just so gorgeous. She's full plastic and vinyl, and the hair quality is pretty good because, you know, sometimes hair quality on these older dolls is, you know, iffy at best. But anyway, I just really love this doll. So some people might not consider '92 vintage, but I consider that vintage because it's almost 30 years old now. So you're almost 30 years old. So anyway, but this is my collection of vintage black dolls. There are lots of other gorgeous dolls of color out there from, you know, vintage, from, you know, the 50s and up. These are just some of the ones that I have, and I collect specific lines in vintage dolls, and so that's why I have the specific ones that you see here, because I collect those specific lines. So guys, I just want to really say thank you so much for tuning into my channel this month for the World of Black Dolls celebration. I really appreciate it. While this is going to be the last installment in that series for this month, we celebrate beautiful dolls of color all the time on my channel. You know, always, I have a lot of dolls of color in my collection. I'm constantly adding new ones. So make sure you're subscribed so that you can keep up and see some of the new dolls that I'm introducing, because that's the whole point point of this celebration is to let you guys know what dolls of color are out there that you can actually collect for if you want to collect those dolls. And so I hope you've enjoyed seeing parts of my collection. I hope you've learned something. If you did, please give this video a big thumbs up. I want to say a huge thank you to In the Doll World for inviting me to participate in this celebration. Make sure again, guys, that you go and subscribe to them, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye bye.